Hi all, a little bit of an update on the kit car situation. As some of you may know, I'm waiting to take the car to have all the corner weighting and the geometry set up at a place that I've been previously. Obviously with the COVID going on, I can't really take it there at the moment, so I'm looking for things to try and get crossed off the list. And the list is getting progressively shorter, it's all good news. Obviously now I've shown you all the colour of it in previous videos, I'm not afraid to sort of show you how I'm going to go about doing the spare bonnet. Basically this is the bonnet I think we bought with the original kit. Got another bonnet that came along with the original exhaust that already had some holes cut in, so I've used the bonnets from time to time. They're both sprayed up originally when I had the car done, so they matched quite well. And obviously I took the opportunity when I was doing it to make sure I got the lines straight on both the bonnets, so if I need to I can change them over. Obviously I've got to try and keep the other bonnet secure, but at some stage I'm going to have to polish it all up. And obviously I'm going to take the opportunity whilst we're sort of in sort of semi-lockdown around the country to try and get that done. So one of my concerns is, although I like the idea of these sort of low profile bonnet clips, I've never seen them used on a kit car before. They may well have done. I know they do get used on race cars and they are quite secure, but I just want to be a little bit cautious if the bonnet does decide to take some fly lessons, that I've got another bonnet that's sort of semi-ready to go. I'm not off the road for months while I'm trying to repair the original bonnet or get another one to fit. So the intention is there we go, trying to get the polishing and the flattening down as much as I can and then store it away nice and safely, so it's safe for hopefully a few years until it's ever needed again. The little things being done in the car, obviously the bonnet trims have been obviously coloured black. I've done a bit more tidying up on some of the wiring. I've still left the interior passenger side loose at the moment in case there is actually any issues with the wiring bit, but the seats are all now bolted in permanently. I've fitted the blank bit, which is here. This is the well, I've got rid of the heating control, so I can use that to mount phone or sat nav or whatever in the future. So this will be my new daily driver. As you can see, it's presently having a bit of servicing done on it. I'm just waiting for a couple of little parts. So the bonnet's been left in whatever car I had spare at the time. So clearly, as we're a three-person family, I'm going to need the rear seats back up again. So clearly going to have to come out here and get sorted out. As you can see, I did put quite a bit of lacquer on this, but it has got quite a lot of the orange poo. You can see there isn't really much of a shine on it, and the shapes aren't really, any reflections aren't really defined that well, whereas they are defined quite well on the other bonnet and the rest of the bonnet work that's been done. So yeah, it's going to have to come out of here, and it's going to end up being in the greatly reduced spray booth for a while. I've got no intention of taking this down at the moment, so I'm going to obviously bolt it to the ball. You can see with the other one was bolted before. Fix it down, clamp it down to the workmates. I'll be doing that in a few minutes. So these are the bonnet lashes that I mentioned. As you can see, it's just a turn down ball. Obviously made a bracket up to mount that in various places on the car. And you just push it in and it snaps in. Now they are quite robust, so hopefully nothing's going to fly off, but they are quite nice and well machined, nice and flat surface, so I'm hoping they're going to stay on forever more, but obviously I'm just going to be cautious about getting another bonnet ready. I was considering putting an additional tether on somehow on the bonnet initially for the first few runs out when I do get the car up and running, when we're allowed to drive out again, to make sure it's a bit of a safety for the bonnet, but we'll have to see how we get on. So that's the idea, just lock in nice and safely, so we'll see how they go in the future. Right, bonnets in the booth. As you can see, I painted the underside of them black. I'm aware they do get a little bit grubby, so they've both been painted black, as well as the actual nose cone, just to sort of hide any dirt that may end up in them in the future. So as you can see, I've had to repair and block up the original outlet that was in this bonnet for the carburetor that was actually on the car at the time, as well as having the Pinto exhaust hole was there. Took quite a lot to get it back to this sort of condition. It was always going to be the spare bonnet, so I did have some issues with the light inside the booth, so there's a few little speckles of other paint or mistakes on the back of this one, so it's not going to look as nice as the other bonnet, but it would do as a reasonable spare. And I'm going to use the sort of returned edge to bolt the wooden to. So what you would have just seen was a speed up version of me drilling the board and bolting it to the inner ribs. Slightly different position to where it was on the other bonnet. Obviously the bonnets are slightly different with the ribbing down the side of them. They've been used for various different applications. Different things I bolted on the chassis of the car at the time, so they're obviously cut around to fit. As you can see, this bonnet's got no bonnet fixings holes in it at all. Obviously, if I do have issues with the new ones I showed you, then obviously I can go retro and fit in a more traditional type of bonnet fixing. So hence the reason I've only got bolt-on brackets on the car I can take off and just go back to the normal sort of design. So I've just bolted it onto I clamped it onto the two workmates with as many clamps as I can get on there. Obviously now it's a lot more stable, because when you use the wet and dry, particularly when you're using the buffer, you obviously put quite a lot of jiggling into the actual panel, and you don't want it flying off, cracking, and the stiffer you can keep it, the better really. I've just given it a wipe down with some of the panel wipe, as you can see, just to get the paw prints and the rain marks off. It was sitting out in the garden for one day, and I think it got attacked by the flies and such like. There's a bit of tree sap on it, so that's all come off now. As you can see, when I originally put the white stripe down, or the original masking, I originally only had it as wide from there to there. As you may know, I had loads of issues getting the consistency and the blue right, because I was getting loads of cracking. So hence when I eventually took it off, I had quite a bit of a ridge down there. So I ended up going with a wider white stripe. Obviously the white stripe being painted on, it's not a vinyl. So you can see there's a bit of a ridge there, and on the other bonnet it was exactly the same. So I'm hoping that the flatting that you do with the wet and dry will get most of that stuff out. You can also see imperfections like this, where you've got the well, people call it trash or bugs or whatever, or just dust flying around. So even though I had the ventilation system set up with the fresh air in and the air getting sucked out through the fans, you still obviously have things that are still in the air. It's obviously not a totally pure system, so they obviously do get on there, as would happen on most, I think most spray booths that happens anyway. So the wet and drying and the flattening down idea and the buffing should get most of that out. As you can see, I've got the odd run. This really brought home the importance of me of having good lighting. I didn't spot some of these runs until way too late into the coat. So originally when I set the booth up, I just had two of these lights, one either end, which quickly proved to be very insufficient. So I then upgraded to some LED lighting. These are ones that I purchased from, I think it was Costco. Yeah, they were spare ones for the workshop garage, so they went into the spray booth. They've got a bit of cling film stuck over them to catch all the dust and crap, so you can change that every sort of couple of weeks if you want to. The other important thing that you might have noticed on one of my last videos is I've ended up putting one of these head torches onto the actual top of the spray gun. Obviously on the pot, it's quite a good one. It's an everbeam one, so you turn it on and you can really light up the area you're spraying then. So what had happened here was I put quite a few coats of stuff on before I realised that I had so many runs in certain areas. Obviously the light just wasn't sufficient. You can see that obviously the orange peel that's on here, so hopefully I'll have a go at flattening it all back through the various grades, start polishing, and maybe take it along for the process so you can see the difference. I might decide to just try and do it progressively along the actual panel, so I can show you an area that's as it was, 1500 grit, 3000 grit, and then into the polishing stages. You can probably hopefully follow the progress of the bonnet from how it is now to the end. Will hopefully be a polished bit at the end. So let's see how we get on. Gonna go and get changed, put some old clothes on, and then crack on with the wet and drying.